Hello, party people. Welcome back to Awkward Turtle Diaries. I've been singing everything. Do we hate it? Some people hate it. A lot of people love it. Some people hate it. You let me know. Welcome back to another episode of Awkward Turtle Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Awkward Turtle, aka Sweet Angel Earth Baby. There's my dog, aka my co-host. Today is episode 6. I said that I was going to commit to Sundays and I let it slip again. Sorry. Also, my tongue is blue because I just had an airhead. Girl, what is you doing over there? Her so silly. Episode 6 is going to be about being kind to ourselves. Sort of continuation from episode 5. In an episode I like to call, Let's Be Kind to Ourselves. Honestly, we can be our own biggest critic. We can be a very unsafe space for ourselves. And naturally, we can be really unkind. I've noticed that I have adopted certain people's voices in my head to tell myself things that they told me and put myself down. And I noticed that it doesn't come from me. Like, it's not my own voice that's being mean to myself. I don't know if anyone else picked up on that or if I'm just a little crazy. I, spoke a lot about spending time with yourself last episode. I think there's some addendums that I want to add to said space. And one of them is making sure that spending time with yourself is a safe space. We want to ensure that the time with ourselves is conducive to what we are trying to accomplish. And if that is making your alone time more enjoyable, I think that starting with being nice to yourself is going to be the best way to go about it. Whatever it is that you're frustrated with yourself about, I implore you to frame these frustrations in a way that is helpful and that will help you to understand what it is that you did and why you did it, if what you're frustrated about is in action specifically. For example, my brilliantly reflective cousin, I mention her in every goddamn podcast episode because we talk so much. We also work together. And she's just incredibly reflective all the time. And we share our findings with each other. As women, we are male-centered, okay? It can make us feel cringy about entering relationships. It can make us feel cringy about having a crush. It can make us feel embarrassed. Being in love can be so embarrassing because we do the darndest things, don't we? Don't we, ladies? No, but literally, it is currently trending on TikTok that it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Like, the most embarrassing thing that you can do as a woman is have a boyfriend. So there is some truth to it. I think the men are waking up on that side. But if the men are watching right now, reflect. Do you know how much propaganda I've been spoon-fed as a pushing 30 and 6 months year old? A lot. I don't live close to home, so when I do visit for family events, it's like, do you have a boyfriend? Are you gonna get married? How many kids do you want? When are you gonna start? And I'm like, oh, please, everyone, just calm down, please. And I absolutely ate that up. I ate it up. And it made me want to be in a relationship, right? And as everyone does, we all want to be with someone, I think. It made me stay in a relationship longer than I should have and long after its purpose was served. However, why are we male-centered and why are we boy crazy? Because it's a survival tactic. We were taught to find a man to protect us and provide for us so that we do not have to fend for ourselves and literally try not to be killed by a man. Do you know how many women have been killed by men? Somebody comment that statistic because this is not a research podcast. However, I do want to be accurate. A boy's crazy, male-centered is literally a survival tactic. So being mean to yourself about that is not helpful because it did serve its purpose. We don't need it anymore. We're allowed to work. We're allowed to drive. We're allowed to sign our own names and credit cards. But it is legit a survival instinct. And we are taught to fawn over a man so that we feel protected and we stay alive, the initial thought is, oh my God, why am I obsessed with the idea of having a partner, right? When you dissect it, at its core, it's a survival instinct. In other avenues, societal acceptance, being accepted in groups where a lot of them are couples and you don't want to be perceived as the whore. Oh my God. Feeling loved from someone. We all want to be loved. We all want to love. And unawareness wise, repeating a pattern that we started as children, that our families brought us up to be, and said relationship makes it feel familiar to us. As humans, we want love. We want acceptance, and we can do things that we shouldn't to receive it, or things that we find to be questionable later on when we're dissecting said relationship. Give yourself grace for doing it unconsciously. We were literally brought here to be in community with people, and it's not conducive to, again, our alignment and what we're trying to do here in order to be better people and love more consciously. And spending time alone, you want to reflect, and you can overwhelm yourself with the information that you are processing. Okay. In the last episode, I talked about when I was working on a project in my mental health counseling program, and it was about cognitive behavioral therapy, and I'm learning about different ways that I am currently actively avoiding my feelings, because we are people of repetition, right? They write books about things that we will do over and over again because we're just human and we want to experience what we want to experience. And we're okay with the risk of getting burned because it's like, well, that was their experience. Maybe mine will be different, right? And sometimes that's the case. And sometimes we have the same traumas as a result. I knew I was overwhelmed. So I stopped what I was doing. I went to the bathroom, checked in with myself, and I was like, girl, you're overwhelmed. Go home. So I go home. And it's important to try to be present with yourself. Check in with what you would need in that moment when you are reflecting, when you are spending time with yourselves. Try your best to be present. And in the moment that you're overwhelmed and you're blaming yourself for something that you did or something that you're reflecting on, check in with what you need in that moment. Is it to stop thinking about the thing? Is it to leave your scenery? Is it to call someone to vent? Any of the above would work. Just check in with yourself and see what you would need in that moment of reflection so that you don't tweak. And if you are blaming yourself for a certain pattern or a thought process or an action that you did, and I'm not saying that you're not to blame, right? If you are blaming yourself in that moment, of course, take accountability for where you got to where you got. But make sure that you're nurturing all the parts of you that did these now questionable things in order to give and receive love. And my advice is to have a specific realization to come back to, okay? So for me, the thing that I beat myself up about is staying in an unaligned relationship for longer than I needed to and enduring more trauma than I ever should have. So essentially, I was doubting my intuition. And when I get to a point where I'm going to be mean to myself or I want to kick myself when I'm down, here are some things that I remind myself. This happened because it taught me to never doubt my intuition again. Listen to yourself. Your anxiety is trying to tell you something. But of course, be mindful and use discernment because sometimes our anxiety is lying to us. This happened because I needed to learn how to prioritize myself and stop prioritizing others in relationships. You're a human and it's your first time here. You wanted love and you wanted partnership in a time where you really needed it. And you felt like the other person really needed it. So having these realizations to come back to is going to help you to not completely spiral. So it's not to say that it's never going to happen again. You're going to go back through your memories in your head or when you're looking at pictures or when you're looking at your phone and you're essentially asking yourself the same questions that you've been asking when you're re-triggering yourself. And it's important to go back to the realizations that you already had in order to ground yourself, in order to be kinder to yourself and, let yourself tweak a little bit, but make sure that you have those grounding phrases and realizations in order for you to not go down that same path of being mean to yourself. For the women watching the podcast, I understand that privacy can be very precious to our alone time, because we don't want people to know where we are, and we don't want people that don't need to know what we're doing and where we are to find us. Okay. I was in a situation where I was being completely private because I felt overly watched. And so, for those of you who may be in a similar situation, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. And here are some tips that I have for spending time with yourself as a woman. Try to limit who you tell before you go out, okay? You don't want to tell too many people. And if they do ask, you can vaguely answer, I'm spending me time today. You don't have to tell them where you're going. Next tip, tell those closest to you that you're going to be spending time alone, and ensure that they have your location, okay? And let them know that you are going to be spending time alone, and just to be mindful of where your whereabouts are. Try to post after you leave the location. Don't post during, especially if you're going to tag the restaurant name. Maybe some vague pictures are okay, but try to limit that, because a lot of people who are from your city might know exactly where you are based on how you're posting. Be mindful of your surroundings without being hyper vigilant. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it's valid. You can leave. It's totally okay to not stay out. And plan your route ahead of time, so that you don't have to stand outside looking lost, especially if it's nighttime, okay? And make sure that you have some pepper spray or a taser. Another aspect of being kinder to yourself is affirmations. People that know me, my students, my coworkers, my friends, they know that I love affirmations. I have an app called I Am, which is really helpful for reminding myself things, and I make sure to say them out loud when I get the notification. However, I like to think of affirmations as white lies that I tell myself. Why do I consider them white lies? Because sometimes we don't believe them right away. In fact, when you're in a down place and you're telling yourself that you're wonderful and that you're deserving of good things, you might not believe it because you're literally down and you're being mean to yourself, okay? And I don't want you to think that you have to believe it in order to say it, because again, these are white lies that we tell ourselves in order to lift our spirits. Our brains don't know the difference between what is truth and what is a lie. It just hears what you say and it internalizes what you say. So, say it anyway. Say it loud. Say it in the mirror. Say it in a whisper if you're in a crowd. Say it in your head at first if you feel uncomfortable saying it out loud. But your mind will start to believe it eventually. And I feel like affirmations are the things that we want to hear the people that we love say to us. It's the things that we wish our parents would have said to us, our caregivers, our loved ones, our favorite people. Like, it's the things that we want to hear from others, but they might not know that you need to hear that in that moment, and maybe they just won't say it. Maybe it's too uncomfortable to ask somebody to affirm you, okay? And in this instance, we can come to self and tell ourselves the things that we would want to hear from other people. When I first started with affirmations, which was maybe like circa 2022, I pictured the person that I really wanted to hear it from telling it to me, so that I could feel more comfortable saying it. It does sound very strange, but stay with me. And eventually it turned into me saying it out loud and being comfortable and knowing that I'm the one that's saying it to me. And I started to believe it. Like, you are that girl. You're the shit. You're beautiful. Or I am beautiful. I am the shit. I'm really cool to be around, and anyone would be blessed to have me in their life. So essentially, come up with anything that you need to hear in that moment. Imagine the person that you really want to hear it from saying it to you, but you're in the mirror and you're talking to yourself. As we come to a close for episode 6, I want you guys to try affirmations with me. So please repeat after me if you feel so inclined to. I am worthy of good things. I am deserving of a healthy love. I can ask for support when I need it. Make your time with yourself a safe space, okay? Because it's one thing for me to recommend that you spend time alone and you're there spiraling and you're not having a good time, okay? I want you to have a good time when you spend time with yourself. I want you to prefer it, actually, over hanging out with other people, because it will be really helpful. I recommended in the last episode that you tell yourself that you're the shit in the mirror, but now I'm really trying to make sure that you do it again. Okay? If you did do it in that moment, I'm proud of you. Do it again. Do it every day, actually. That's all, folks. I hope you enjoy your week and your month. I'll see you all next week in our next episode of Awkward Turtle Diaries. And I would love to hear some of your affirmations that you're going to tell yourself this week. Comment below. Toodaloo.